called to order. I'm going to read from our agenda. As Chair of the Zoning Board of Adjustment, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are utilizing the Microsoft Teams for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Microsoft team, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in the meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-603-664-0240 and conference ID 120292352, or call 603-664-0330 or email jhuckins@barrington.nh.gov. Or there's a Zoom bit.ly/BARRZB 200617, June 17th, 2020. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call. I'm going to call the roll and say if you're present. Mary Schmaltz.
Here.
Carol Huckins.
Here.
Ray Damaris.
Here.
George Bailey. George? Oh, you're on mute? You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm here.
And Chair Karen Forbes. The first one we're going to take up is a continued item from May 20th, 2020, and it's the number of 239-105-B-20- owners Kelsey and Leonard Fowler. Are the applicants present? John?
I don't.
Sorry, I don't see him in here. I think last month we had to give him a call. Remember? Because for some reason they didn't come in.
That's right. All right,
I'll pull their file and see if I can find that while you go to the next one.
yeah, I think Connor found the number in the file or something. Oh, it was on the application. It was on
Yeah,
the
so I'll go look in that. Do you have the application?
767-8007.
Okay. You want me to give them a call? Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the number again, George?
767-8007.
Hi, this is John Huckins from the town of Barrington. I'll let you know that we have the zoning board meeting going on now. And area code 603-664-0230. I'll explain to you how to get into the meeting. Thank you.
I left them a message on the cell phone, so maybe we can go to the next case and then come back to them if they do call in.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm going to go on to the next case, which is 101-NR-20-ZBA, owner James Kosher. The applicant present?
Yes.
You want to present your case?
Sure. A little new to this, but this is where I read those 5 questions, correct?
Well, explain what you want to do, explain what you're seeking a variance for, and then explain why you meet the criteria for a variance.
So I'm seeking the board's approval for an accessory dwelling for my parents. As hard for me to say it, but my father's getting older in life. He has severe back issues, and he really needs to be in a single-story dwelling. As he's getting older, I bought the house, and it's the most feasible thing that we could do. So they didn't have to go into a retirement home. And that's what we're seeking the board for.
Okay, so go ahead and explain the criteria.
Special conditions exist such the little enforcement of the ordinance will result in the unnecessary hardship to the applicant as defined under which applicable law. The septic is in the way, and on all 3 sides, the house, there are utilities. There's septic, there's electric, there's well, and we also have pavement. Number 2,
You also have what?
pavement.
Okay.
We would have to, if we were to go on the other side, we'd have to dig up the pavement. Number 2, granting the variance would consist with the spirit of the ordinance. It actually fits in our neighborhood quite well. We have a lot of trees in between the houses. It's designed that there's going to be no impact on the neighborhood. Well, negative impact, I should say. Number 3, granting the variance will not result in diminution of surrounding property values. It will not decrease the value of any surrounding property. If anything, it will increase the value. Number 4, granting the variance would do substantial justice. Substantial justice would be justified by not moving the septic, driveway, electrical, or the utilities. Number 5, granting of the variance would not be interest. This would not impact the public or the neighbors, as it is a private road, and it's a nice design. It's nothing out of the ordinary. It's to fit in with the neighborhood.
Yes.
George, do you have questions?
Madam Chair, I have a declaration to make. I am familiar with Jim Scotia because he is on the select board with myself. I in no way have done business with him, nor do I have an obligation to him, and I will continue to sit on this board.
Yep, sounds fine. Jim, are you done?
Yeah, I'm super new to this, and I'm nervous, to be quite honest with you. So I'm not sure how these meetings go. I know how the select board meetings go, but this one's a little different for me. So I apologize.
All right, so let me explain to you is that you have the burden of proof and you have to meet the criteria. One of the criteria is that you have to establish that there's special conditions in the land that is different from other land in the area. So what I in particular, and I can't speak for the rest of the board, but don't know why the addition can't go on the other side or in a different location, because I have to be honest with you, 8 feet from the side yard is really close.
Correct. So it can't go on the left side because there's plans to do garage on the left side. There's also the electrical utility that runs through there, and there also is the pavement. And if you looked at the property, it really thins out right there. To where most of that is driveway for the abutters. So it's not like we're going right next to them. It's a very slim part. They drive by it. There's a lot of woods there. But that's why, I have provisions to do a little bit more on the property. So this is the most feasible because I can't have my father going upstairs anymore. That's not an option.
I understand that, but you have to understand that we have a standard we have to meet too, which is
I
that,
understand.
and it, honestly, it sounds to me like it can go in another location so that it's more conforming to the zoning ordinance. Anybody else from the board got some questions or anything?
No, I agree with you. I think they're pretty close. 8 feet is very close. And
Yeah, we don't generally grant variances for 8 feet unless there really is no reason. And even then, the question is, well, whatever. It's usually, it looks to me like it can go to the rear and it can go to the other side. Tearing up pavement, that's, I don't want to, but we have a zoning ordinance, so.
So it would be unfeasible to do that. We would also have to run new electrical because that would have to be dug up, and then it would make this project impossible to do at this current time because it would cost too much money. There is a hardship there. Yeah, we could put them in the back, but this is going to be connected to the house. So when they need a hand, I'm able to run over and help them out in case somebody had fallen or, if there was, a health issue and somebody needed some help, I could be there for assistance. So that's why I'm asking for this grant. It's not, yeah, I could put them on the side of the driveway, but then that would be a 2-story thing and they'd still have to go up the stairs. So,
Well,
and none of the neighbors have called in to say, hey, this is going to affect us. We really don't want that. And I'm not saying that that's a ticket out of here, but it's a suggestion. So
I understand, but that's not the standard. And I'm not being difficult. It's, you have to understand that a lot of us have been on this board for a long time. And we sit as a quasi judiciary board and we have to apply the ordinance. What you might want to do is ask for continuance. And then, John, did he meet with you before he submitted this?
Yes, he did. And what we looked at with him was his electrical power in his driveway was on the left side, so we really couldn't put it there. We talked about coming off the back of the house, and his septic was there. Is that me?
The septic isn't the whole backyard, right? It's just.
it's a good chunk of it.
It runs parallel to the house, right?
What would
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
wait, only one person at a time. What's the cost of moving the electrical?
We would have to dig up the whole front yard it's on the left side of it. So then we'd have to tear up the pavement and then we'd have to go across the yard 3 feet down to dig to get that conduit out. And then we would have to repipe the conduit over. We'd have to replace the service. We'd have to, add on to the addition. So it's a lot of added costs.
What about making it narrower and having it extend further into the backyard?
That's what I was just thinking. Make it like, how narrow would you think, Karen?
Yeah.
Can you put a breezeway in between? If you put it to the right of this drawing where the walkway is and just put a breezeway?
So my plan was to connect the foundations so I can run over whenever I can. And that was the reason for having it there because we have in the front, we have the living room and kitchen. I'm trying to give them, they're listed as 2 bedrooms, but knowing my parents, one of those bedrooms is bound to be storage. So I'm just trying to, this is what I came up for a plan. And, if you guys don't agree with it, that's fine. And whatever I can do to help myself, help my parents, I'll do what I have to do.
Can you make it 1 bedroom instead then?
What was that?
Can you make it 1 bedroom instead then?
Well, if it's 1 bedroom, but where are they going to put their stuff?
You have a shed.
Jim, yeah, I have to tell you, Jim, we don't give 8-foot variances unless it's a postage-sized lot.
Right. So what variance do you give then?
I would suggest to you that you ask for a continuance, that you meet with John and go over it and come up with something that would come closer to meeting what we have all talked about.
Okay. Well, what have you guys talked about? I mean, what do you guys give for variance in this case? Like, so I can go back to the designer and stuff and go, hey, what can we do with this? So I'm not left in the dark.
George, do you have something to say?
I do. If, the only thing I would say, look, Jim, looking at this, you've got 28 feet wide. If you were to make it similar to a Canadian house, that would give you 14 feet if you put it, took part of it and moved it backwards and moved the bedrooms with it. You could have everything in the front, but you would have 14 feet, but then you'd add that to the 8 feet you already have. And so that would come close to probably acceptance to myself. I'm not going to speak for the rest of the board, but that's another way to look at it.
Okay.
And it still allows you access coming over from the basement to handle the necessities. And I'm quite familiar with what you're talking about because I had to do the same thing.
This is Marcia. Can I just mention one thing? This is a conservation subdivision, so the setbacks are already much smaller than the standard subdivision. I don't know if that makes any difference, but it does make the allowed setback.
20 feet.
Is that 20 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still 8 feet is still really close. We just don't,
Instead of 20 feet, yeah.
Marcia doesn't, you know, it's the whole thing about the fire trucks and all that, and 8 feet's really close.
Okay.
Well, it is a private road, so I mean,
But Jim, what she's saying is that in the past, we've looked at it by talking to the fire chief, we've looked at it, and he has asked us to keep in mind the width so the engine could get around to the back if necessary in the case of an emergency.
and that I don't think that would be an issue. So, but that's not my call. So.
I was thinking if you did a 20 by 40 addition, that would give you a 16-foot setback, which asking for a 4-foot variance wouldn't be that big of a deal, I wouldn't think. And you could still get a fire truck down in between the homes pretty easily, that much distance.
That's a lot better.
The fire chief wants to be able to get a hose to all points in the building. That's what he tells us. So you don't have to drive the truck all the way around, but you have to be able to get a hose. I don't know if that.
Yes, I'm not going to go down that road.
Yeah.
No, and I think that would, you know, we're not going to have trees against the building. So, I mean,
we have a zoning ordinance, and I think that I think you've heard a lot of suggestions tonight about how to make it more
well, I appreciate that.
reasonable. So you want
Well,
to,
I would like to ask for a continuance then.
Motion for continuance?
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? I have to read everybody's
Aye.
name. I got to say everybody's name. Mary,
Yeah, aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
and I vote yes. Okay, so we'll see you next month, Jimmy.
Okay, thank you.
The Fowlers have showed up. They're in here now.
Yeah. Let's do them because they should be pretty quick. Mr. Fowler,
Yes, hello.
we're going to call your case, which was 239-105-V-20 variance owners Kelsey and Leonard Fowler. Do you want to explain what you've submitted?
Yes, we're asking for a variance on the 40 feet from the front of the property to the front of the house, or porch in this case. So currently the house sits back 44.9 feet. And with the addition of the 6 foot porch and then the 2 feet for the stairs, that dimension would come out to be 37.4. So we're asking for the variance there to go, just over 2.5 feet short of the variance.
Okay, and does anybody remember from last month? Any other questions or follow-up? I think we were waiting for footages, right?
Right, yeah, we're missing the
Footage
dimension.
and having the right color.
Yeah, his plan wasn't stamped last month.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Okay, looks good.
Will the chair accept the motion?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 39-105V20.
Second. All right, George, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes,
and Karen Forbes, yes. Your request for a variance has been granted.
Thank you, guys.
Polly.
Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, we're gonna call the last case of the night. Bergeron, it's 125-5-GR-20-ZBA. And the owners are Daniel and Nancy K. Bergeron. Are the applicants present?
We are.
Okay, do you want to explain what you're looking for? And then,
Yeah, yeah. We're certainly non-conforming by 31 feet. Well, we thought we were 31 feet from the boundary when we got our last approval. We're trying to go to one floor living. We're converting part of our large porch into a small bedroom so we could on the floor bathroom added. In order to do that, we have to put a new entrance to the house at the front of the house, which requires a small deck around to get the entrance. Which will reduce our distance from the boundary to, in the newest, 26.6 feet. My formal request has about 28 feet because we were basing it on a different survey, which put the front lines in different places. So we actually need to request a variance down to 26.6 feet. Cannot easily put stairs to that entranceway because there's a deep gully there. We don't want to have. We want one floor living, and climbing up stairs as we get older is not something we want to do. So I don't know quite what we should do about my formal request asked to be allowed front setback of 28 feet, whereas the latest survey that just came in last week makes that 26.6 feet. So we really are asking to edit what we're requesting from 21 feet down to 26.6.
that's not a problem. Because
Okay.
if we approve it, what will be in the file is the plan with the 26.6.
Okay.
You just need to go through the criteria.
Oh, right. Somewhere I have that sitting here. So that was a project narrative. And we want to reduce the front setback requirement. House entry location requires a raised deck. Is that? Oh, and then, yeah, I mean, part of this is we're aging and we'd like to live here as long as we want. And that requires one floor living. And we can do that with this renovation. And none of the renovation itself is affecting the setback. It's just we need that deck to get to the front door.
To get into the house.
To get into the house. I guess. From the pictures, I hope you can see that nobody can barely see our front of our house anyway. We have so many trees here, and we are on a private dirt road, and ours is one of the very few lots that are as big as a half acre. I can't imagine that there'll be any change in the saleability of any of the property. Our neighbors have not complained, of course, and one neighbor has in fact sent you email saying that she supports what we're doing. Is that what you need to hear from me?
Yep. So this used to be 2 lots and you combined 2 lots, right?
Well, that was before we bought it, yes.
That was the rule in Barrington at the time. If you had 2 undersized lots that were adjacent to one another, they had to become one.
Yeah, non-conforming lots. Yep.
Yeah, we've learned that since then that was judged as illegal. But.
That's absolutely fine with us. We have no complaints with.
Not too late. You built on it. It's too late. Any questions from anybody?
No, I think this is reasonable.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, I think the issue is it's a substandard size lot, as they indicated. It's a reasonable use of the land. It's in the public interest. Looking at the pictures, it's not going to affect anybody, and there's not going to be any diminution in value. Is there a motion? Oh, wait. Is there anybody here to speak in favor? Anybody here to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept and approve?
Second.
Okay, Ray,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
George.
Yes,
Okay, your request for a variance has been granted.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the minutes of May 20th meeting, 2020.
Everything's all garbled.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, George, how do you vote?
Yes,
Mary,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
and I do. Yep.
Motion to adjourn?
There a second?
Second?
Okay, Mary,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Ray,
No. Yes. Yes.
yes. George, yes.
I vote yes. Okay,
All right.
That wasn't too bad, half hour. Good for you.
Everybody drive safe going home.
Yeah,
Mary,
thank
did
you,
you hear
everybody.
that?
This was much quicker than the planning board meeting we had last night.
Yeah.
how long to go on for?
Mary, will you be
9:30.
here next month?
Yes, August will be my last.
Oh, okay, all right, so we'll see you again.
Yes. Hey, Karen, I thought you did an excellent job last month.
Oh, thanks.
It was great. The way, it was just the way you just smoothed it out. It was perfect.
I don't even remember last month, so that's good. Hey, John, when you work with him, you heard reports, right?
The one, you mean Jim Sakosha?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went by and he said his driveway was there and his underground power and he'd have to dig it all up to get his foundation in on the left. And behind it, he showed the septic and he said he couldn't go out behind the house, so they only gave him that possible space. But I think your conversation about maybe twisting it so that it goes the other way, kind of L-shaped, would make the setback work better. And I think he can squeeze it in beside his septic. We'll have to look at, maybe get his septic plan to see exactly where it is in the backfield to make sure that it does work.
oh my,
Because there's a separation requirement from the footing drains to the septic that's required by the state too. So the foundation has to stay 10 feet away from where the septic field is.
Yep.
I don't know exactly where the field is until we can lay it out.
Right, so there wasn't enough support to have granted it because, him just saying, here's the electrical, here's the cost you have to establish that. There's more that he would have to establish on his plan.
So
Okay?
he could probably put some costs together with the stuff on the left side for his next meeting.
Yep.
All right.
Cost to move the electric, all that's to show it to us.
Okay.
But if you can move it, that would be helpful because again, we never give, with a size, not this size, we just never give an 8.
Well, because it was a 20-foot setback to begin with, it was 12 feet into the setback. So if it was a 30-foot setback, I was looking at 12 feet into the setback, which was granted before. That's how I was looking at it. I wasn't looking at what was left.
Yeah. When was the 12-foot granted?
Well, no, it's 12 foot that he wanted it because it's a 20-foot setback because it was a conservation subdivision.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go 12 foot into the setback. If you went 12 foot into a 30-foot setback, it would leave 18 feet and you would grant something at 18 feet. And I wasn't thinking about that you wouldn't grant something that was 8 feet. I was thinking you granted stuff that was 12 into the setback. So I was looking at it from the opposite direction.
Yeah, right. That's what we look at is how close.
How much is left afterwards, not how much he's going into it.
Right. We look at both, but we really look at what's left and really the size of the lot too. And if somebody comes in and they want something like that, then you show in detail why you can. I was looking at these people, Bergeron and theirs. They talked about how they came in and showed us where there was a huge boulder. I mean, that happens too. Put the boulders on the thing. So, and sometimes like I'll ask you in a meeting, they'll talk about the pitch and you'll go, well, yeah, it's really bad pitch or something like that.
Oh yeah, the topography. Yeah.
Right, and so those are the things we're looking for, and you know, removing the paving really doesn't matter to me, it's nothing, but, you know, the electrical's a little
Well,
bit.
his comment to me was they just paved it last year. That's why he felt as
Yeah,
if.
well, I get it, but, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
It's still a learning curve for me too.
All right, good night, guys.
All
Good
right.
night, everybody. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Thank you.